Hey guys, I'm Jordan Fromer. I believe in hunting hard, hunting smart, and having a fun time while doing it. And shooting limits, well, that's just the icing on the cake. I revel in the journey just as much as the successes it brings. From ducks to dogs to decoys and guns, we'll be talking tactics, strategies, and what it takes to get the job done. Load up and take aim. This is the Duck Gun Podcast. What's going on, folks? Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the Duck Gun Podcast. I'm Jordan from Gun Chronicles. Got my co-host Elliott Graybeard from Freelance Duck Hunting alongside me, and we got Josh from Outdoor Limits joining us today. How you doing today, Josh?
Doing well. Yourself?
Doing great.
I appreciate you joining us. We've been wanting to have you on for a long time. Heavily requested guest. We'll just say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the schedule's finally lined up for us to do it, so pleased to be here.
Yeah, really excited about it.
Awesome. So you've been up to some crazy stuff this summer. What you been up to leading up to duck season, Josh?
Well, I was working in Nebraska all summer, so duck season was really not on my first plan of agenda for thinking about things. But once I got back here to Kansas, it really kind of sunk in, and I'm just kind of taking little preparations every single day and getting ready. But my main focus right now is dove season, and with the season opener being on Saturday, that's just something I really want to get out and do and have a good time doing it.
How many dove hunts will you end up going on, you think? Just the opener, or will you do some even through September?
Well, it just kind of depends on the birds. And like, we've got a decent amount of birds here, and I went scouting over the weekend and things look pretty good. So I'm hoping that it's not like a slaughter on opening day to where I can get like a few hunts out of it throughout the week, especially with it being a long weekend, all Saturday, Sunday, and Monday to hunt. And then teal season's the weekend after that. So it just kind of depends on what things are looking at, but hopefully I'll get 4 or 5 hunts out of it.
So do you guys hunt over like pond water or crop fields for dove? What do you guys normally do?
Well, it's usually crop fields. Things around here haven't been that great in the past, but this year the sunflower fields look amazing and there's birds using them. They've mowed strips and it's just looking really, really good for this year.
So you guys doing public then?
Yeah, public land.
Okay. You know, when
I tried that for the first time last year, going out to public lands with the daisy fields or the daisy fields, sunflower fields, and it was so crowded. It was so crowded out there. That's the only issue I have with at least my state. I don't know how Kansas is for the doves in their public lands, but yeah.
Yeah, I found like when the fields are more crowded, like there's a point where it's too crowded, but when there's enough people on a field, it's pretty nice because the birds don't like fly to the other end of the field and sit. It just keeps birds moving all day long. So I don't really complain about having too many people on a dove field.
I think you can tolerate more people around you during dove hunting probably than like waterfowl hunting.
Yeah, like if you have somebody set up with like 50 yards from you when you're duck hunting, that just pisses you off. So
yeah.
If you're able to just get that distance during duck hunting, 300 yards, perfect.
I will say, I think that you're a little more relaxed about people setting up close to you at duck hunting, even though than I have been in the past. Because I remember at least one video, you're like, oh, this guy's like 50 yards over to the right, you know. And yeah. My videos when they're 50 yards away, my temperament's a little bit different than your relaxed one. Let's just say that.
Yeah, you know, I'm that's how I am. I'm just kind of chill, go with the flow, and like, you know, what happened, whatever. But on public land, you got to go in expecting it. So if it doesn't happen, that's a good day.
Yeah, yeah. It's the quest on public land is to find places where you can shoot ducks and people won't crowd up. And it's like, okay, that place I know is going to be really good, but I'm going to be circled by people. That place over there, maybe not as good, but I won't be circled by people. I don't know. I think part of that is fun. I mean, part of the strategizing about that is fun.
Oh yeah. I think it was like 2 years ago. I think the video is 30-minute limit. Things just did not look good. It was a real early season. It was like early November, like a week and a half, 2 weeks into the season. And we were scouting and I was like, you know, these birds, they're not hitting the marshes, but they're going just beyond these trees by the river. Where are they going? So it's that fun part of knowing and putting the pieces together And turns out we found like a little backwater slough from the river that all these teal were going to. And I mean, we go in there the next day after we found it, and we shoot a limited teal in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Nice.
Those teal hunts can be over fast.
Yeah, but this was just a bunch of green wings, so that was even more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's nice to find little spots like that. That's kind of the same way I found what I call my honey hole, you know, just right off the main stream, and you get back there off the river and find some awesome gems like that.
You know, the funny thing about our area is that Josh and I don't live that far apart, probably a couple hours, I think. And watching your videos and your reports, I don't know whether it's a little bit of a different flyway or something, because there's times where you're seeing tons of birds and I'm not, and then there's times where I'm seeing tons of birds and you're not. And I'm like, shouldn't it pretty much be? I mean, we're only like a couple hours apart. I would think it would be more if it's good for both of us, but that's happened multiple times. It's really strange.
Yeah, especially last season. Last season, you guys were just like demolishing them out there, and we didn't have anything. It was rough.
And the year before is complete opposite. I mean, every time you guys went out, you were limiting, and we were just like, oh man, that was the worst year of my life.
Yeah.
Which just happens. The fact that the two of the worst years of my life were the first 2 seasons that I ever put on YouTube. That's fun.
Hey, at least you got to own it.
It's humbling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So what do you do at that point? Like, at what point is it worth driving that 2 hours? I mean, if you only got 2 hours to get to the limits, I mean, I might jump in my car.
Let's just say this was the weekend before finals week last year in December, and we had scratch for birds, nothing lined up for the weekend. So I call my buddy Brady, who's in Colorado, and say, hey, you got birds? It's like, yeah, we got a whole bunch. So we leave at like 11 o'clock at night on a Friday, the weekend before finals week at that. And we drive to Colorado. We get there at like 6 in the morning, and we're out hunting that same day. And we stayed for Saturday and Sunday. And the Sunday morning hunt was the morning we scratched out a 14-man limit. So
what's the drive home on something like that? Like that would be awful.
It was rough. It was rough.
Like tons of caffeine and taking turns, or what?
No, I think Luke drove the whole way home. Actually,
he seems pretty crazy.
Yeah,
he seems to be up to the task.
Oh yeah.
So what's it like hunting with 14 people? I think the most I've ever hunted with was 6. 14's that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went into it going 14 guys. This is gonna be nuts. But the way we had it set up, it's not like you're in layout blinds or like I wouldn't, maybe like an A-frame. I've never hunted out one before, but when you're butted next to people on a layout blinds, like it can get crowded and you're like trying to funnel all the birds into one area and it gets difficult. But we were wearing our Tyvek suits and laying in snow socks, and we had a good probably 3 yards between all of us. So it spaced us out really well, and we had 2 pockets that the birds were going to. We didn't play the wind right that day, but it just seemed like everybody got a chance to shoot because there were such big groups of birds because they were lessers and snows. So, you know, if it was a mallard hunt, it would have been totally different from being lessers and snow geese. So I guess it came down to the species and how we were hunting. That, you know, 14 guys, it really didn't make a huge difference to me.
Could you tell what birds you were dropping with 14 people?
You generally know when they get in close like that. Like GoPros make things look way farther away than they actually are. So, you know, you could have a bird at 20 yards and it looks on a GoPro like you're shooting 60 yards. Yeah. But when you're getting that close, you shoot, you follow through, you know, you hit it. I mean, somebody might have also shot at that bird at that point, but you generally know.
Unless it's banded, then everyone
knows, yeah. Right? Everybody's got to get in on that.
Yeah. Banded birds are hard to come by, though. My group shoots about one every 5 years is kind of what it's come out to over the last 25 years.
Yeah, I've never seen one.
Yeah, it'll all pile up. It'll happen.
Yeah, maybe this will be the year.
I'm surprised you shoot so many geese, because I think geese are a lot more likely to have bands because the local ones tend to get banded a lot more. So it's surprising you haven't shot a banded goose. I'm not surprised about the ducks, but I would have thought you shot a goose.
Yeah, me too.
Because Golden Boy shot, I think he's got 3 or 4 bands on geese just in the last couple years.
Huh.
It's picking them up like crazy.
None of those on video, or what?
Yeah, one of them I was on video. Yeah, on the ice,
Okay.
the river ice hunt where we shot our limit.
Yeah, that's something I've always wanted to do, is hunt the river. Never
Well,
had
you
a
come
chance
up,
to do
but we
that.
can do it if you want.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
The problem with the river is that you have to hit it just right. It's like the conditions have to be right. You've got to find the birds, because scouting that river is really, really hard. And then that time of year, you can't run a boat up and down it, and all the land up and down it is private. So like finding where they're at on the river at the right time, it's just like they pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever go sandbar hopping on the river?
Well, define what you mean by that.
So I've heard of people setting up on sandbars, and then they just kind of hop between different ones throughout the day.
Like they'll move their boats down the river. Most of the time that river is so shallow that even moving up and down it, even with like our surface drive, is really, really difficult. So you just have to hit a year. What we normally do is we go as far as we can until we start flushing birds.
Yeah.
And then we set up. But what you really need is an airboat. If you had an airboat on that river, in fact, out of more western, there's a guide that actually does it. But if you were to have an airboat on that river when it froze, you could shoot. I mean, I can't even tell you how many limits that you could shoot. I mean, because you get like pockets of birds every mile. You get 2,000 to 5,000 birds just sitting, and they're just all up and down that thing. But as far as, you have to have the perfect conditions to kind of hop, like you're saying. And if we were going to do it with the first bunch we kicked up, we would just set up right there.
Yeah, because more will come back to that hole that they kept open in the ice.
Yeah, because it's normally so cold that they fly all day. So it's not like even the ones that you're flushing may not be coming back. It's just, and you get that many birds up and down the river, it becomes real easy, but just accessing it is what's so hard.
Yeah, I believe that.
You think right now is a good time to jump into this or that?
Yeah, perfect.
All righty. Well, let's jump right into it. And first slide, just a little introduction for the people in the comments. Elliott's going to drop the link for you guys to vote on this as well. So the way it works is you just pick between the two, Josh. And so the first one is, do you prefer to hunt ponds or marshes?
Oh, shoot. That's a tough one, because like you could have a marsh that's like super hot and then a pond that's not, or you could have it the other way around. So, I love the way birds work into a farm pond. So I think I'm going to pick a pond. Definitely.
Elliott?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the marsh, and that's why we picked that question, because you guys do so much like private pond hunting. I was curious as to what your answer would be. I've done some pond hunting more back. Well, all of it is back central part of the state, but I'm gonna go with the marsh on that, just because of the number of different wildlife species you see on a marsh.
Yeah, that's true. You do get a lot more of a diversity in a marsh than you do in a farm pond. But I don't know. It's just knowing, like setting up after scouting it out, and you're like, okay, these birds are going to go out to feed. They're going to trickle in here in 2s and 3s, maybe some singles. And just knowing that when you set up is just like super awesome. Plus, sitting in a layout blind on the edge of a pond is a lot more comfortable than like being waist deep in a marsh.
And knowing no one's going to walk in on you too.
Yeah, for sure. That too.
Yeah. That's a hard one for me as well. Usually the way we do this one is rivers or marshes, but since I didn't think you'd hunted any rivers in your videos as well, we kind of went with the ponds, but that does kind of put a twist on it. And I've had a lot of success on ponds and marshes, and I think I'll go with marshes though. Slide number 2.
What do we end up on that one? We had 75% marshes,
for the listeners,
25% ponds.
Yeah, give or take. And the next one, ducks or geese, or mallards, bro, or geese.
That's such a great catchphrase you guys have too. It really is a good.
Just says it all right there. Mallards, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
I'd take ducks over geese. Well, shoot, I don't. Why are you asking so many hard questions? I like shooting both of them right in the face.
Tailored right to you.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would say geese are a little bit more special to me because we don't shoot as many of them, but nothing's better than just a group of 300 ducks coming into you in a field. So I'm going to go with ducks. Calling ducks is also a lot more fun for me.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Elliott?
Ducks.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. For me, it doesn't even have to be a group of 300 mallards. It's just the overall like appearance of a duck, the way they work in, you know, calling them, everything. Honestly, I'm just more of a fan of greenheads than I am of geese.
Yeah, or like when you got a mallard just like 300 yards in the air and then they just cup and hug themselves, touching their wingtips and just drop like a cannonball into your decoys. That's probably like one of my favorite parts of duck hunting right there.
Yeah.
Is when they do that.
Yeah. I will say with these, like last year, those goose hunts we had on the river on ice, though, those come really, really close to any hunt. I mean, we're shooting some of those 10, groups at 10, 15 yards, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. See, like whenever it's like textbook is when that's your favorite thing to shoot. So if you go out and shoot honkers, trafficking, and get 30-yard shots at them one day, and then you shoot mallards at 15 yards, you're going to pick mallards over geese any day. But if it's the other way around, you're going to pick geese.
Yeah.
They're both fun to shoot and they're both fun to decoy. So
what's next?
So we get a lot of geese in my area with all the cornfields and stuff. I'm sure you guys get the same stuff in Kansas, but a bunch of the guys that I hunt with say, almost all of them say they'd rather hunt geese, and they say geese are more reactive to the call. They come better into the set. And I'm like, man, it's just crazy. It's just like, because I don't feel that way. I feel like ducks work better, but I don't know. Have you guys, I'm sure you guys have both seen this as well, but have you guys kind of talking about the duck cupping in, but where a goose kind of turns all the way sideways and they'll shoot down in the spread just to drop. They just turn all the way sideways. That's
they maple leaf down. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is.
And for the listeners, the final tally on that is 78 for Mallards Pro and 22 for geese. And the next slide is early season or late season.
Oh, I'm going to go with late season. Early season is just brutal. It sucks because you're just waiting until about December for mallards to come down, and you're just kind of just waiting on migration the whole time, and you scratch out 2 or 3 birds. But once they get here, they're here, and late season's where it's at, because when you can find the spots for late season, it's going to be unforgettable. On both public and private land, I've had late season public land hunts that were probably top notch of like all of my hunts that I've had. I think it was the second half of the opener of the Southeast Zone back in January 2016. Shot my first canvas back there, and later on in that season, we found these nice little holes in the ice that ducks kept open through the whole break in January, and we went out and set up, and it was just smashing them at 10 yards. It was unbelievable.
Awesome. Elliott?
I definitely like late season. I do love October pintails, and when some of those layout boat hunts we do in October are really, really fun. And even if I can shoot a pintail or 2 a year doing that, I do love those hunts. But if I had to pick, I would probably go late season.
Nice. I guess kind of a weird way, a weird perspective of looking at it is, early season, you're so pumped up just to get back out there. And late season, you've been doing it the whole way. So I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say late season too, but something special about early season too, just getting out there on early opening day or teal season, all that stuff just gets you excited.
Well, in early season, when you have a really good north front come in early season and you get a really nice mixed bag and the temperatures, in the low 40s, and some of those days are really, really fun.
And you're not cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect time to take somebody new.
Yep, for sure.
I took my younger sister wanted to come on a hunt with me this last year, and it was like, I can't remember, like 5 degrees or something. She got super cold, let's just say that. Luckily, we weren't out there very long. For the listeners, Late season 73, early season 27%. Jump to the next one. And beard or no beard? Question we ask everybody. So,
like
what you
having a beard or not having a beard?
Yeah. Just it's not a serious question, really. It's just.
I'm gonna go with beard. I've had a beard for 4 years now, so I enjoy it.
Nice.
Ladies love it.
You keep it pretty trim though, don't you? You trim it up pretty.
Yeah, I didn't used to. I used to be all into that like big duck beard thing. I'm like, no, this does not look good. When I see pictures from the past, I'm like, why did I do that? It was bad.
Oh man, there's a picture of me without a beard. Yeah, that's the last time I went clean 2 summers ago. My kids freak out if I shave. They get so pissed. They literally get mad.
I was thinking about for duck season just doing a stash.
Oh,
mustache.
Yeah. It's kind of trendy.
Yeah. I think it'd look good. It'd look real good.
If you do one, at least it's like handlebar.
I can't do a
like,
stash.
I don't have much that grows right here though.
Handlebar down the side by the mouth or something.
Nah, just a nice little porn stash.
Yeah, just a dirty old stash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably grow mine out again this year. I like to grow it out every duck season.
Yeah.
Start fresh from the beginning.
Yeah. All right, there's the next one.
All right. And the last one. And Elliott, you're converting more and more people every time we do this one, but full choke or modified choke?
I shoot a modified.
Yep.
Any reason you don't shoot a full?
I've just always shot a modified and I like it, so
yeah,
can't go wrong with that.
That's good enough.
And I think a modified choke really gives you a little bit more versatility in the field, because if you're shooting a duck at 20 yards, if you're shooting a full choke, your pattern really hasn't spread out enough to really like give you a wider spread. But with a modified, I feel like you get a little bit more of a spread pattern on that, so you can shoot 20 to 40 yards, which is perfect for decoying birds, which that's all you need.
So we've been having this ongoing discussion about full versus modified. In fact, I've talked to the guys over at Pattern Master, and I'm hoping we can have actually like a choke expert on to talk to him. But there's kind of this running belief that I'm hearing a lot from people that are trying to say that full's actually better in close because you kill them when you hit them, and you'll kill more ducks if you use full. And from every single chart, I won't beat this into the ground because we talked about it a lot, but every single chart I've seen, it's like when you're shooting at 20 yards, a full choke is actually in like the red zone of not effective choke to use at that range. I mean, you can't kill them, but more and more people are saying is I use full because even in close, I want to kill them. And it just doesn't match up with what any information I read about choke says.
Yeah, so like if you've got even an open cylinder choke and you're shooting 15 yards, if you have the right shot size and right shotgun shells, you'll be able to kill them. It doesn't matter on the density. It just matters on the amount of shot hitting the bird and how good of a shot you are and the size of the shot hitting the bird.
We just went out and patterned. So we're using 6s this teal season because Rogers was out of 4s when you normally use 4s. So I went out and patterned those a couple days ago. And I had been using improved during teal season the past couple seasons and shot pretty well. But I patterned these 6s with modified, and I was just thrilled with how they patterned those 6s. So I'm going to go ahead and go with modified during teal just because even at we did 15 yards, 25, 35, even at 15, those 6s patterned great, even with a modified at 15 yards. I was really happy with it.
Sweet deal. All right. And just for the viewers, the listeners, 80% on the modified choke and 20% on full choke. All right. And if you guys are just joining us now, I'm Jordan from Gun Chronicles and co-host Elliott from Freelance Duck Hunting on YouTube, and our guest tonight. If you watch anything on YouTube for duck hunting, you probably don't need an introduction but Josh from Outdoor Limits.
So I do have an agenda next, Jordan, for what we're talking about, or
All right, go for
Okay.
it.
Because I'm curious to talk a little bit about your beginnings with your fishing channel, how it transitioned into hunting, and maybe even where you see yourself in 5, 10 years, what your goals are, just kind of like stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. So I started the channel that I have right now, Outdoor Limits, when I was a senior in high school. I think it was like April-ish. And so when I was a senior and junior in high school, I really got into fishing, which I've always been into fishing my whole life. So it would just, I had more opportunity to do it because I was able to drive, and I could take myself and go whenever I wanted to. So I was like, you know what, might as well make a YouTube channel on it and see what happens. And so I tried it for a little bit, and I went in working 40 hours a week in the summertime, and it just kind of died, and I just kind of didn't do it. And that back then the channel was called Kansas Fisherman, so it was a fishing channel. And then my freshman year of college, I think in the spring, I started getting back into fishing again. I was getting all excited, so I started posting more videos. And then I kind of stuck with it from that point because I saw a future with doing that, and I was like, you know what, let's give it a go. Let's try it and see what happens. So that fall, I go ahead and I'm going duck hunting, and I start posting duck hunting videos. And this was my first season posting videos on YouTube for duck hunting, and it got a little bit of traffic, 1,000 views on a video. But when you're first starting out, that's pretty sweet. Seeing 1,000, 2,000 views on your video, you're like, this is awesome. And just stuck with it. And then after hunting season, I did a couple fishing videos, and I just kind of buckled down with it. And then the following fall, that's when the duck hunting part of it really took over. And that's when the channel really blew up, is the 2016-2017 season. And I improved my video quality and really just kind of formatted it to a way that is more than just putting a camera on and shooting some ducks. It was bringing the viewers along with me on my hunt and getting to share my experience. And that really caught a lot of attention from a lot of people, and people liked it. So things grew throughout that season, and I think I ended the season at like 18 or 19,000 subscribers. And I was like, wow, this is pretty sweet. And that brought us to last summer. And then towards the end of the summer, I was like, I need to change the name. The name is not working with the content that I'm producing, because I kind of went from fishing to more duck hunting stuff. And so I was thinking of names, and then Kansas Fisherman, and then I went and did Kansas Outdoorsman for a little bit, but then I had a little bit of thing with that, so I changed it to Outdoor Limits. So then the name stuck. I was like, that's it, not changing the name again, just second time, not gonna do it. So Outdoor Limits stuck, and then just kept on posting videos. And then I started doing, actually back when I was Kansas Fisherman, I was doing the Waterfowl Wednesdays and doing how-to videos and tip videos, and really kind of putting a lot of information on the internet talking about duck hunting. So then people who are new to duck hunting, or even people who have duck hunted for years and years, can go on and learn some new things, learn tips and tricks, and see reviews of products that they might want to buy, and just have a good time and watching hunts. So, that's kind of the past of my channel here. And I do see a future in it, and I see it going places. But with this being my senior year of college, actually my 5th year of college, it's kind of to the point now where I'm like, I would love to do this and make this a full-time job, but that's just not realistic. So this is going to be my last season actually doing this and seeing, is this something that I can do in the future? I'm going to graduate in May and get a full-time job and really do what I love to do on that aspect. But if the opportunity arises to where I can do this every day of my life, I'm going to take that. But just because I get a full-time job doesn't mean that I'm not going to make videos. Like, Elliott, you have a full-time job and you still make these videos. So it's doable, and it's just all about the time management. So
yeah,
I see a future in it, and just the way things have grown last year and this year, it's just growing faster and faster every single day, and it's really exciting to see.
So the funny thing is, it's like our channels are really ran side by side. So your first season was basically my first season.
Mm-hmm.
And correct me if my memory is wrong, but I feel like on our first seasons, there wasn't hardly anyone else really doing kind of what we were doing with the vlogging and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You had a little bit of head start on me because you had been doing some of the fishing stuff. But in the first video of yours I saw, because you're fairly new to duck, like that season 1, that was pretty much one of your very first seasons duck hunting, wasn't it?
Yep. It
And
was.
so, which on a different note, the amount of knowledge that you have acquired in the 3 years is astonishing, quite honestly. When you
I
go
read
from
a
like,
lot.
yeah, that was what I was going to ask you, is like, where are you getting some of the information? Because I mean, I've been doing it for 25 and you're like 3 years, like as far as just what you're doing, how you're doing it. But anyway, back to my other point. And so it was really like your channel, my channel, and I mean, Fouled Reality was out there. But as far as our kind of genre of just guys hit and record on the camera, it was you and I, and maybe a few others. I can't even really name one, honestly. Yeah. And I always say I'm gonna keep it real, so I'm gonna keep it real here. After season 1, I was watching channel. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna step it up. I'm gonna catch Kansas Fisherman, and I'm gonna take him down. And that year, it's like that is not what happened at all.
Yeah,
because I was making gains on you, and when you had that video that popped when you were wearing all those ducks around your neck,
yeah,
it seemed like that was like. And I wasn't mad at you, but at the time it's like, I'm competitive,
Yeah, everybody's competitive.
Yeah. And I'm like frustrated. I'm like, oh man, I was like, what am I doing wrong? How is he just crushing me? But since then, you've kind of done a clip of me about 3-1. But just our channels are really interesting side by sides, because I always consider it kind of like we were kind of at the forefront of this new push of way to do it. And of course, then Bobby comes the next year. And he just, oh my gosh, like a tornado. But I think it's cool, though, how we were at the forefront of it. No matter where it ends up and how far it goes, it's been a cool 3-year ride, I can say, for me.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, like you were talking about Fouled Reality, like when everything first started, they had, I don't know, probably 18,000 subscribers. But I remember the day that I passed Fouled Reality and subscribers, I texted my buddy Adam. I'm like, dude, you're not going to believe this. I passed subscribers with Fouled Reality. And
that's no small thing. That's no small thing.
No, it's like, they were the biggest guys on YouTube at that point in time, and the types of videos that you're producing. So it's like, if I get on fishing and I'm making fishing videos and I pass flare or whatever, like, that's cool. Like, that's a milestone. It's like, that's something you remember. But that was a cool day.
So I have my theory as to why, because really your kind of homegrown, homemade videos, waterfowl videos on YouTube grow faster. Those channels grow faster on average. Well, I don't know if on average, some of them grow faster than even like the grind, Fouled Reality. Do you have any theory as to why that is?
The content. Because if you go on the outdoor channel and you watch like Heartland Waterfowl or something, they're going to have 3 minutes of duck hunting, 3 minutes of commercial, 3 minutes of here's where we're going, here's some scouting, here's another duck hunt for 3 minutes, and then they have another commercial. It's when you're on YouTube, it's an unlimited platform for how long you want to portray your hunt. It's not just the kill shots and not just the preparation. You're walking the people through every step of the hunt and showing them the ups and downs and the before and after of the hunt. So you're giving them more content in a smaller bit of time than they would if they were watching those shows. And even on YouTube, the grind and whatever, they're still posting what they would have posted on TV. They just cater it towards YouTube.
Yeah. And I think everything that you're saying is accurate, but I would also add in there is that those kind of channels, those kind of shows don't really let YouTube viewers get to know the person personally. I mean, anyone that's an avid fan of you or me, they feel like they know us. And on those more heavily produced shows, you lose a sense of the feel of the hunt on that day, where it's like your channel is normally like you talk about it in the beginning, you can feel the progression through the whole day, and then you wrap up at the end. So your sense of the actual hunt is not lost, versus these others, like a duck dropping and dying, an advertiser. You lose the sense of the actual progression of the hunt, you know?
Yeah, because they're trying to smash 3 or 4 hunts into a 30-minute block instead of one hunt in a 12 to 15-minute block.
Yeah. And I like their shows. I like those types of shows.
Oh yeah, they're great.
It's just an interesting time that guys like you and I can grow at a quicker rate than people that have all this big budget, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's I really want to talk about. I think there was something else I was going to say, but what do you think, Jordan?
No, I definitely agree on all that.
We got dead silence.
Is my mic not working?
Oh, you said one thing, but you gotta know. But and then now we've got like the second wave, because another thing I found, and I don't know it the same way, is like those first couple seasons for us getting on like the top list of your search pages were really easy. Now it's like so many people putting out videos that it can feel a little bit lost sometimes as well.
That's true.
I think anybody from Kansas has a little bit of an advantage, apparently, for YouTube duck hunting.
Seems like it, doesn't it?
It's really crazy. It's like the mecca of YouTube.
Aren't the 3 biggest channels?
You'd think like somebody from Arkansas would have something. Like, I'm sure there's guys out there that post videos from Arkansas, but like you'd think they'd be up there.
See, I've tried to like hypothesize this in my mind. Like, why is Kansas? Like, is it like just the perfect area where you guys are like? I don't want this to come across like the wrong way, but like you have like the technology and the duck hunting, like you're like close enough to cities. But like if somebody's way out in the sticks of Arkansas and they don't have like internet or something, they can't upload, or you know, maybe that's not part of their life, you know, they're not really thinking about the internet too much. I don't know. I'm just ideas.
Yeah.
Well, if you really think about it, even like Fouled Reality spends a lot of time in Kansas as well. Flair comes down into Kansas. It's like the mecca of YouTube waterfowl hunting.
We've got a longer season and we've got pretty generous limits compared to other states. The weather's always right here. It doesn't get to the point where everything's locked up, birds are gone. So there's birds around usually the whole season. There's times where things do lock up pretty tight and it's hard to find the birds, but things generally warm up. I think the past 2 seasons we've had hard freezes, and then by the end of the season there's open water everywhere. So I think the weather has something to do with it as well.
Yeah, the only times that I have found where it's almost unhuntable is when you have like 8 to 12 inches of snow and the temperatures have been like 0 for 4 or 5 days. That other than that, and it's like you said, as soon as it thaws, that's the best hunting of the year.
Yep.
It's like they're here in force when it thaws. We were talking to I think it was Dr. Duck that was saying down in Texas, it's like they get a huge cold push, and even if they get any kind of freeze at all, as soon as the temperatures go up, the ducks are just boom, they're gone. And that would suck. And we never, I mean, just hardly ever lose all our birds.
Yeah. It's usually when open water freezes and they find other open water. But they're there. You just got to find them. Geese will sit on a pond until it melts through.
Yeah.
You just got to find them.
One of the things that's so impressive about you guys is your versatility to, you know, you guys are at the public marshes, and then you're finding private ponds, and you're finding fields to lay out in. And it seems like it's hard. I don't know exactly where you guys are out in those, but it seems like maybe your radius of where you're looking is pretty big as far as fields. Can you go through just a little bit about how you guys go about finding your fields? Because it seems like it's a lot of different fields from year to year. It's not even the same. What's your process with that?
So yeah, we do hunt a lot of different areas. So I mean, some places we drive 45 minutes to get to it, but the trick is to find a field is to find the roost. And you can find giant ponds that are a roost for birds. You don't need to find a big lake or anything like that. If you find a big, like a rock quarry pond that is going to be deep and it's not going to freeze, it's a great place to start looking. But once you find the roost, follow the birds. Just follow them, drive right under them early in the morning when they're going out to feed, and they'll tell you where they want to go. And there's a lot of times where we can't get on the X. We can't get on the field that the birds want. So even if we're setting up in a field, it might not be the one that the birds were in that day before. A lot of trafficking, we do a lot of trafficking, and especially last year. Last year was just a traffic every single day. But yeah, to find the fields, you just follow the birds. The birds will tell you where to go. And if you have to traffic, just try and set up underneath the flight line and throw your deeks out and hope for the best.
How many times a week do you guys spend scouting?
Well, in the past, it's just kind of been, you can go scout, or like before class, go and scout. Here's Friday evening, I got off work, there's time to go and scout. I'm going to go find the field for the weekend.
Is it always you, or do you guys kind of just
everybody does it? Like whoever has time to do it, they do it.
Because your core group is you, Luke. Those are the only two I can really name.
And Lane and Trey. Yeah, so there's a good group of us. So we're able to like scout and really go around and take turns doing it.
That's where we get into a problem, is the scouting. Is that
Mm-hmm.
I know from where we hunt, I know exactly where the flight line is. I know what fields to look at, but actually scouting it and doing it that's another deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. It takes time.
It does. And when you're in an area long enough, like I have, you get to know the area. You get to know what places are going to be the roosts, what fields are going to be hot, what fields are not going to be hot. So you're able to like focus your concentration from learning those things in the past and knowing, being able to predict this is where these birds are going to be going. And if you're able to put the pieces of the puzzle together from the past years, I mean, some years could be completely different than others, don't get me wrong, but I've found that generally your birds are going to roost in the same spots every year. And where they go from there is going to be up to them. But you can try and put so you have one cold front come through, you have a new push of birds. They roost in the same spot. They go to one cornfield, then they get pushed out and a new group comes in. And that group is going to go to that cornfield again because there's still corn in it. And so knowing when a field's done, when the birds are going to use it, it's all coming in there. But it just takes time to go out and scout. Nothing's better. You can go on a hunch, but it's better to go in knowing this is what the birds are doing.
Have you guys thought about going to silhouettes and socks at all? Or don't you mostly use full bodies?
Yeah, we ran silhouettes and socks last year along with the full bodies. But this year I'm going to be running strictly full bodies.
Because we've got I don't know, we don't do a lot of goose hunting. I would love to do more field hunting, but we've got 14, 15 dozen of the silhouettes and socks now, where we've never really had much goose. It's so expensive. Yeah. So we're hoping that we can really put out massive spreads, even on sandbars in the river, things like that, or if we can find fields and just hopefully get into some more birds like that, just with a bigger size set, but silhouettes.
Yeah. So something I've found out with Canada socks is they're great decoys, but I don't think they compare to a silhouette or a full body, but they're great for sprinkling in with your full bodies to give a little bit more motion in a field. So I wouldn't go out using sock decoys unless I had a whole bunch of cacklers. And you need those kind of numbers, but with honkers, you can get by with 2-3 dozen full bodies and get the job done as long as you're in the right spot. But sprinkle those socks in, and they'll add a little bit more motion to your decoy spread.
Yeah, where you're at is the key for everything, isn't it?
So yeah, duck hunting's easy once you figure it out. You just gotta be where the ducks want to be.
Yeah.
Make sure your gun's loaded.
Yeah.
So going back to kind of your core group, have you known those guys forever, or you meet them all through just duck hunting, or what?
Well, we all went to school together, and so my friend Adam, who's been in quite a few of the videos, he's in school at Pitt State, so he's a couple hours away from me. But
is that the one that was is that the one sponsored by Rogers?
Yeah, he's sponsored by Rogers. Oh, okay. Wait, no, it's Sitka now. But yeah, so we've been friends since middle school, and he was actually the person that got me into duck hunting my freshman year of college. So we went out a couple of times. We didn't shoot anything, but we went out and it was still fun. But the guys that I've hunted with here that lived here, I just kind of met them my freshman year in the dorms. We got to know each other. And then Trey, I met him at a football game last year. So there's that. I think that's pretty much it. that's kind of the core group. We just kind of met through school and school events.
Nice.
So we got any ready to move on to Q&A or?
Yeah, I think so. I got some actually lined up here, so let's start going through.
Got a good crowd tonight, running over 100.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Someone asked where is FDH located? I don't know if you want.
Well, Kansas.
Kansas.
That's about as specific.
And someone
as
asked
I like
where
to
I'm
be.
located.
The best of the 50
Indiana.
states.
Yeah.
What is the rarest duck any of y'all have shot? And when are y'all gonna hunt together?
I'd say canvasback for me. I've shot, I think, 3 or 4 in my life, and I would put that as my rarest duck that I've seen.
Yeah, I would say canvasback, but I shot a really weird duck last January. It was like almost like half mallard hen, half mallard drake. It was really weird. So that, I guess that one's rare. I still don't know what it is. I think it's in Lane's freezer at this point. Thought about getting it mounted because everybody said to get it mounted, but I don't know. It was weird. It might have been, somebody said it was a hen that was just really old and it lost its estrogen and started producing features of a male. Other people are saying it's a gadwall and mallard cross. I have no clue what it is. It's a duck. There's definitely some mallard in there because it's got an orange bill with black spots like a mallard hen. But
yeah,
the chest is mallard hen, the head is mallard hen, but it's got green on the head and it's got drake features, but it's too late in the season for it to be an eclipse drake. And eclipse drakes have yellow bills.
Do you remember what the name of the video is on that one for people to go look at?
I think it was like Once in a Lifetime Duck or something.
Okay. That was last season?
Yeah, it was this past January.
Okay, so people could go look at that last year's playlist.
Or Once in a Lifetime Bird.
Mine was a ruddy duck.
Yeah, those are cool. I want to shoot one of those.
I got into those out west one December. It was the ice was just coming off this marsh out there, and I got into a bunch of them and shot 3 or 4 on one hunt.
Nice.
None of them that I've ever shot have been pretty at all. They've all been bland. They must plume late like bluing or something.
Mine was a hen, so it wasn't. I just thought it was rare, but. Next question. Any early teal tips on big lakes?
Find the birds.
Go ahead with that, Josh.
Find the birds. Okay. I've never hunted teal on a big lake. I've always done it in a marsh, but I mean, same holds true. If you're in the right spot, the birds are going to be there. So just get out and scout and find the birds. Throw spinners out. That'll help you out a lot.
Yeah. I'd say the marshy sections of the lake, you're not going to find them in deep water.
Yeah, for sure.
Find 2-inch water. Find your mud flats. If you find mud flats, you will find some teal hanging around likely. Because those teal, man, they'll take it. I think they'll take a mud flat over anything else. You give them 2 inches of water on top of mushy mud, and you're going to have teal there. That's where I always look on the big lakes.
Aiden asked, Josh, would you say decoying birds on a pond is easier than public marsh?
No. I mean,
no.
It's tricky because it all comes down to your hide. And if your hide's good on a public marsh and you're in the right spot, those birds are going to decoy. If you're on the right pond and your hide's good, those birds are going to decoy. So it's not a matter of it being easier in one place or the other because you're trying to do the same thing in both spots. So if you got everything white, tight, and right, those birds are going to decoy. Hopefully.
Stephen Hatfield asked, what is your guys' favorite duck meals?
Like food, duck meal?
Yeah, meal, I guess. Food, okay. Dinner.
Mine's a Philly cheesesteak made with duck.
Duck fajita over here.
Oh, shoot. I can't decide between my chili, my brats, or my enchiladas.
You did a video on the enchiladas, didn't you?
Yeah, those were really good.
Yeah. My wife makes them into a Southwest egg roll with like that corn salsa in it and stuff. Oh my gosh. That's insanely good.
Yeah. If you can make brats out of them, they're solid. So good. I actually had some for lunch.
Yeah, Aiden does that with geese. Turns it into brats and stuff. And it's surprised. I did not think it would be good. It's surprisingly good.
You don't even.
I do summer sausage.
Yeah, that's good too. When you make it into a brat, it doesn't really have that ducky, gamey taste to it as much because you mix it with pork. So it gives it a little bit fat, and the seasoning kind of covers it up a little bit, but you're still like eating the duck, but it tastes really good.
So do you brine your meat in water?
Yeah, I use salt water. I generally do it for 1 to 2 days.
Yeah, that changed everything with me as far as eating my game. Once I started doing that, it's like the whole flavor changed.
Because you got to get that blood out of it. That's gonna be your gaminess to it.
Yeah.
Owen Self asked favorite gear that you cannot live without.
Favorite gear?
Favorite gear, just I guess something for duck hunting.
Oh, they said beer.
Me too.
No.
Favorite beer I can't live without.
Are you a cheap beer drinker?
I drink it all. My favorite beer is the Boulevard Tank 7.
Okay.
The piece of equipment that I can't live without is my Sitka duck oven. Cannot live without it.
That's that like, is that zip up?
Yeah, here, I'll grab it. Yeah, so it's it zips up. It's got a pocket right here on the chest, and then it's also got pockets on the outside. Like if you're in your waders, you can shove them right here by your boobs. And then they've got fuzzy pockets down low. Not a whole lot of pockets in it, but you don't really need to carry anything. But this thing is probably one of the it is the warmest jacket I've ever worn when I've duck hunted. And it's windproof. It's not waterproof, so don't go falling in the water. But cannot live without this. You can wear a long sleeve t-shirt, a hoodie, and this and be good when it's 10 degrees outside.
Wow. Now you're pretty broad shouldered. When it's cold, well, I guess if you're not having to layer, I was gonna ask, do your shoulders, when I wear big coats like that, my shoulders tend to get tight when I move. But if you don't have to layer a bunch, then you don't have that problem, I guess.
Yeah. So this is just a large. I mean, I might have gotten fatter since last duck season, but yeah, you can. I wear a windproof hoodie underneath this, and that does me some justice. But this is so slim and sleek. It's not puffy like a Drake jacket is. Which I've got the LST 3-in-1 I wore before I got this, but there's nothing to it. I mean, it's
you know how much those run for?
About $300. But if you're cold and you buy one of these for $300, you won't be cold for the lifetime that this jacket lasts you. But
yeah, I went away from coats probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I just layer vests because everything I had, never bought a $300 jacket like that, but everything that in cold, my shoulders would always just get so restricted that my shooting percentage would go down fast.
Yeah.
So I went away from those, but I bet that's
if you go and try one on, you're gonna buy it. My friend Adam told me that, and so he bought one. And he bought some other Sitka stuff, but it's not just hype or anything. It's really good quality stuff, and there's a reason why it's expensive. It's not just because the name is Sitka and it's top quality gear, or well, it is top. It's because it's expensive because it's good and it's going to last you a while and keep you warm, as opposed to a $100 Cabela's jacket that's really big and bulky. You can buy the $300 fully windproof and stay warm in the coldest conditions.
Nice. Yeah, I would love to have something.
All right,
like that.
Next question. Josh Dennis. There we go. What is your guys' favorite thing about duck hunting?
Killing ducks.
Yeah, that's what I say, shooting ducks.
Greenheads.
But more than that, it's just the time to get out and de-stress with people you really enjoy being with. I think that's and ducks gives us, like, we all love these environments, but for some reason we won't go to them unless we're trying to shoot a duck. But once you're there, it's the whole environment and the atmosphere that just cleanses your spirit, you know?
Yeah, so true. It's like just sitting out there. Like, I'm looking forward to this Saturday with dove season open. I'm looking to just sit there in the middle of a sunflower field, hoping a bird flies by. But before shooting time, I'm going to sit there drinking my cup of coffee, watching the sun come up and the birds and everything waking up. So it's going to be super cool. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of it, is just being out there.
Being out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Braden Saxon, Saxis? I don't know, whatever his last name is. Sorry, I butchered it. But what is your favorite brand of shotgun shells?
I'm going to go with Winchesters. I mean, I don't have a favorite. I'll shoot Federals, Winchesters, heavy metals, just kind of whatever. But my go-to shells are Winchester. They've never done me wrong. And that's just kind of what I use. I'm not like super into the hype of heavy metal shells, paying $1.25 a shell. No. I'm Winchesters and Federals. They do just fine for me.
I'm trying heavy steel this year, or not heavy steel. Whatever their cheap brand is for heavy shot.
I think it's heavy steel.
Okay.
But heavy steel is just overpriced steel shot.
I mean, it's like it was cheaper than buying the Winchester Super X, because that's what I shot last season.
Oh, really?
I got it for $11.50 a box. Oh, I wasn't buying it by a case, I guess, for the Super X, which at my Walmart it's $13. So
I just
gotta buy my case.
Yeah, I bought them. Yeah, I bought 2 cases of shells for like $200.
Nice. Yes, that's about $10 then.
Yeah, that's about. I think we got our Federals for I think 80 after rebate, but I don't even know where the receipt is, so I don't know if the rebate will actually ever take place. But
yeah,
that's the thing about rebates.
Yeah,
Steve,
but we still got them for 100 a case.
Nice. Steve Hatfield asked, "Do you put your layouts in a hole? Like dig them in the ground?" It's pretty much what he asked. Do you dig your layout blinds into the ground a little bit?
I have done that once, and that's because we were hunting in the middle of a cornfield that's been chiseled and plowed, and there's no hide, so we had to dig down and get low. But other than that, no, we just put them on the ground and brush them up really good.
And then Quack Addicts asked, Josh, the fields you hunt are mostly private, right? Got any tips on getting permission?
It just comes down to knocking on doors and talking to people. And, you never know unless you ask. So figure out who owns the field, knock on the door, ask them. If they say no, say, okay, thanks for the time. But if they say yes, awesome. So
Clayton Belden asked, I'm thinking he's asking for tips on socks. Love socks, but I walk in a lot and they are lightweight. So buy some thicker socks. Get some wading socks with merino wool.
He's talking about decoys.
Yeah, I think so.
let's go get some dowel
Jordan
rods.
just had the surgery recently, so he's heavily medicated.
Let's get some dowel rods and merino wool socks and throw them up. Make sure to paint them white.
Alrighty, let's move on to the next one. Somewhere in Wisconsin, how long did you keep your YouTube a secret, like not telling friends and family?
It was never really a secret. Like my parents have supported me throughout, and I don't know, it's YouTube. Like, I guess in some places it's just like weird, especially when you're in a freshman year of college and you're like, yeah, hey, I make YouTube videos. Like, that's just not something that everybody does. So it can be awkward at times, but
I think it kind of goes through phases. Like, it's awkward when your channel's like so small that you're kind of embarrassed. People would be embarrassed, like, oh yeah, I make videos, but nobody watches them.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get to your, if you're your size, you know.
Yeah, like I could just like walk down through campus carrying this thing, and people are like, oh yeah, he's legit. So, it's gonna be different than me just talking to myself on my iPhone.
Yeah. I don't typically talk to anyone about it unless they bring it up, just because I feel like I'm acting like I think I'm something. If people want to talk to me about it or whatever, then that's great. Or especially it's odd to be like recognized out hunting, which I'm sure has happened to you before. That's a really surreal thing. But I tend to just I feel odd if I ever bring it up to people other than like close friends. But
yeah, I agree. Only place I've ever been recognized is the Waterfowl show. You got to get a lot of people that duck hunt in the same area for me to have a chance of being recognized.
Have you had a lot of guys approach you out hunting, Josh?
I don't think when I've been out hunting, no, other than a couple game wardens, but let's see. Generally, most times when I go to Shields or Bass Pro, a couple times in Walmart. That's about it.
It's a weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm like, hey, dude, how are you? I'm the guy from the internet.
Yeah. I had a guy pull up at
North
a
Georgia
campsite
outdoors.
and roll down his window. He's like, "You're the guy that makes those hunting videos." And he's like, 16-year-old, and he's just staring at me, and I'm like, what do you want me to say to that? Hi.
Actually, the number one place that I've been recognized is in bars. Not gonna lie, I was just sitting there playing pool one night with my girlfriend, and this dude goes, "Hey, are you Outdoor Limits?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I just struck up a conversation with him for 45 minutes. My girlfriend played a game of pool by herself. I never hear the end of that one.
Not a good move.
No, but I went turkey hunting with the dude. So,
oh, is that the guy that was taking you out turkey hunting?
Yeah, I actually met him in a bar.
Nice.
Yeah.
North Georgia Outdoors Us. How many bands do you have?
None.
Elliott?
Well, in my 25 years, I only have 2.
We shot one last season, my group, but I didn't get to keep it. So
I got 2 mallard drakes, one from my local area and one from out in my first one was at the Bottoms, which was cool.
What cameras do you guys use?
I've got a Nikon D5200.
I've got a Panasonic HCV 770, and I just purchased this off season a Canon I can't remember, G40, I think.
I use the Panasonic G7. And then Clayton asked, dog or no dog?
If it's a good dog, I'll hunt with it, but I've only hunted with one good dog, and it was about 8 months old. But nobody has dogs to hunt with that I hunt with, so I'm never.
Are you planning on down the road? Is that in your plans, or you just prefer not, or what's your thoughts?
So my plan is I'm gonna get a dog after I graduate college. It's kind of like a graduation present, and so the dog I actually want is a Springer Spaniel. I've always wanted one, and you can take them duck hunting, but
sure,
if I can take it duck hunting, great. If I don't, great. I don't care. I can get it done without a dog, but I've always wanted a Springer Spaniel, so that's gonna be my first dog. And if I get a lab after that, that's gonna be the duck dog.
Well, a Spaniel can certainly do it. All right, so are you a big dog guy? Like,
yeah, I love
had
dogs.
Pets your whole life and stuff.
I've never had a dog, never had pets, except for some fish.
I know for me, once I had my first dog and hunted the first dog, it's like, oh man, I could never go back. It's just something. It's not about what they do in the field. It's not really, well, unless it's really mushy mud, then it's about what they do in the field. But it's just about them being there in the bond. It's just so much fun.
Yeah,
it's fun watching them work.
Yeah.
But you have to talk to Barton Ramsey. His first hunting dog was a spaniel as well, and then obviously he trains all the labs. Yeah,
he's a guy at Southern Oak Kennels. He's cool.
Yeah. And then Carl asks, what is going to be Josh's occupation?
At this point, I'm gonna be graduating with a business degree, so business management. And so from there, the past few summers past 4 summers, I've worked in outdoor ministries. So I think that's where I really want to go, and that's where I feel called to go, is in outdoor ministries. So I'm going to try and look for some opportunities in outdoor ministries after I graduate.
So then I would assume that faith plays a pretty big part in your life?
Yeah, my dad's a pastor.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Very cool. We're starting up a new side channel called FDH and Faith this year that my dad's got a bunch of videos sitting on where I don't want to pound my channel with it because that's not why people are there. But, every now and then, like every 6th or 7th hunt, we'll do a real short prayer at the beginning and then move on. And so I'm using it to just kind of funnel people that are interested in it, over that way. But that's really cool to hear. I guess I didn't realize that about you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I think there's a lot of opportunity in outdoor ministries with duck hunting as an aspect. is to take people out, like different retreat groups can come to a hunting lodge, and then you take them out hunting, and then you can spend the days when you're inside not doing any hunting. You can do that to do different faith-based organization stuff. So you can do different Bible studies and just kind of have a time of fellowship with those people that you're there with while doing some hunting on the side.
I am so thrilled to hear what you're saying. Well done. That's awesome.
Lone Star Duckman asks, any tips for hunting a pond out of a layout blind?
Grass. You need lots of grass, and make sure it's not at a weird angle. Because there's been times where we're sitting on a weird angle and my feet are just like at the very edge of my blind. I can't see out of it. So try and get on level ground if you can. And then I found, like, with my green headgear blind, it's not made for sitting at an angle. Like, the way it's designed is to be flat, and then the doors open really easily. And then the bar by my shins, that's not supported by anything except for the doors. So if I'm at an angle, that bar is on my shins, and that's not very fun. So grass it in really good and find level ground.
Max Sellers asks, are you going to hunt together? And we've already asked, we've already answered rarest duck. And then when did all you start hunting?
I think the biggest part about like hunting with other people that I've noticed, because with the channel you get tons of invites and everything, and I would be more than happy to hunt with you sometimes. So I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to do it, but it's like you get your hunting group and it's kind of an expected every weekend thing, and it just becomes difficult to like just jump on lots of other. I find that part of it difficult, but you're certainly welcome to hunt with us at any point and come and get in a river hunt if you want.
Yeah, sure. I think that'd be cool. This year's going to be a little different for me because the group is just kind of splitting apart at this point. Luke moved to Texas, Lane's in Oklahoma, and it's just me and Trey here right now. So I'm planning on doing a lot of traveling at this point. I mean, I've got my fields and everything. I've got permission on a lot of properties so far. But, I mean, there's going to be a lot of solo hunts this year, which I know a lot of people are looking forward to.
Well, if you ever want to come up this way, I'll show you around the marshes up this. I don't think you know them very well, and I'd be happy to show you around and get you on some hunts if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be sweet, especially early season when I don't have birds.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we're hurting lack of water here pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, they'll be around. But this year, I don't know. We're gonna see how it's gonna be because some of the complexes up here can't even pump water at all because of the lack of water. So it's going to be an interesting year, but I think we're going to focus on maybe big lakes and mud flats and try to set out some really massive spreads. And
that's what
you're always welcome to come up if you're hunting solo and you want to come this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate it.
So how many more questions we want to take? I think
we've been going about 112. I think it's probably good to wind it down.
All right. Thanks for all the questions, guys. But I guess anything else we want to add on this before we
I don't think so, other than Josh throwing out all his social media links and all that stuff. It's been awesome having him on. I've had people asking me so many times over the last few years when we're going to do some form of collaborative thing and I've been wanting to. So it's really, really great to have you on and talk to you.
Yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. So,
all right, guys.
Well, where can people find
you?
Josh? Give all your links and
just go ahead and find me on YouTube at Outdoor Limits, and then Instagram is outdoor.limits, Twitter outdoor_limits, Facebook is outdoor.limits, I believe, and then Snapchat, which is a pretty big one for me, is KS Fisherman. So I kind of kept that one just to have that little nugget of the old.
Yeah.
Sweet deal. Well, thanks for everyone for joining us tonight. Thanks, Josh, for joining us. And that's all we got, guys. And we'll see you again next week.